Wait, what? So now I'm told I'm drinking too much water? Hey, that one size fits all does not apply to us seniors, especially when we're over 70. You might be surprised what I'm about to share with you. It's a personal story about me. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Well, I'm going to share a story with you today, and it's about water, drinking water. You know, they always tell us hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Oh my goodness. Well, it's been a really hot summer pretty much everywhere. Now, I have told you all before, I hate water. I never drank water. I just can't swallow it. I just can't. But I tried to make an effort about 3 years ago to start drinking some water so that I wouldn't get dehydrated. And the way I did it was I started drinking Propel because of the electrolytes in it. Well, this summer was so extremely hot and I felt like, well, maybe I should increase my hydration just because of the videos you watch and what they say and what the doctors say. You know, we're not cookie cutters. We're not all the same. My body, your body at 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, is not the same as it is at 65, 70, 80, and beyond. The same rules and guidelines cannot apply to everyone. When you think about it, you know, when you're younger, you're more active, so much more active at 30 or 40 than you are at 60 or 70 or over. So, of course, you need more water. That makes perfect sense to me. But when you're over 70, a lot of people have health issues, mobility issues, hip replacements, knee replacements, things like that. They're not as active. So they do not need to drink the same amount of water. Yet the medical profession just lumps us all into one category and says, drink more water, drink more water. Don't get me started on the medical profession. So here's my story. You know, I'm an avid walker. I walk 5 miles every morning, and plus, I'm running around the house all day. I dance in my house every single day, well, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And I also rebound. So I like to jump on my trampoline. I'm still loving that. I've never had trouble with my legs. Well, not long ago, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks ago, my legs started aching and like cramping, and my feet felt a little numb, and it was just weird. I've never had feelings like that before. And it was especially in my lower legs, like in my calf muscles, and then across the top of my ankles, like when I, of course, bend your feet when you walk, my muscles just felt extremely fatigued and tired and achy. And I put up with it for a little while, and then after a couple weeks of that, when it started affecting the way I walked when I go outside to take my intentional walk, I thought, I gotta see what's going on. Maybe I have a circulation problem, although I didn't think I did, and I've never had an issue with that before. But like I said, things change when we get older, and our bodies aren't the same. So, as much as I hate to go to a doctor, I made an appointment, but I made it with a nurse practitioner. I don't make appointments with doctors. I'll see a nurse practitioner, but that's it. So I go in, tell her the whole thing, and she wanted to do a few things. She wanted to do an ultrasound on my veins to make sure my circulation was good and the blood was flowing in and out and up and down in the way it's supposed to. Make sure there was no blockages or a clot or something. And then she wanted to do blood work. And I thought, well, why blood work? And she said she wanted to do specific tests to see if I have an imbalance in my body, like a water imbalance. And I didn't even know they could test for that stuff. So I agreed. Well, to make a long story short, I went and got the ultrasound. It was perfect. In fact, the ultrasound tech told me that my veins were beautiful. Well, that's nice to know. Too bad they're on the inside, but that's okay. So, no blockages, no nothing, no blood flow or circulation problems at all. So, I was waiting for the blood test results, and the nurse practitioner called me and she said, I want you to cut back on the amount of water you're drinking. You're drinking too much water and it's creating an imbalance in your body. And I'm like, too much water? My gosh, they tell you to drink 64 ounces or more if you can, 99 ounces, and drink water all day long. Of course, I wasn't doing that, but that's what they tell everybody. Well, guess what? We're not everybody. Seniors are different. Things change. So that was the problem. That's what was causing the aches and cramps and tiredness and fatigue in my legs. They were just feeling heavy, like I couldn't pick them up and put them down like I normally do. Now, who would have thought that water would do that? Now, let me say this before I go any further. Hydrating is very important. You can have bigger problems or just as big a problems if you get dehydrated. But there's a fine line and there's a balance. So you can't go from this to this, which they tell you to do. Even after the nurse practitioner told me what she did about drinking too much water and she explained everything to me, I thought, well, I've never heard this before. So, like I said, I don't trust the medical profession. I thought I'm going to do a deep dive and do my own research, and boy, did I. And I went to reputable sites. I went to like Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, places that I felt like I might get the right information. And they all said the same thing. Once we reach a certain age, things slow down and we process things differently in our body. Our kidneys slow down. I mean, that's a known fact. We also lose muscle mass with the aging process, and the muscles store water. So that makes sense. And then drinking too much water can dilute the sodium in our body and our electrolytes, just throw them way out of whack. And because of all this, I ended up with these leg cramps. They just say, keep drinking water, hydrate. Well, that's built for a 25-year-old body, an athlete, someone with an athletic body. That works for them. It does not work for a 74-year-old woman. We're not just older versions of our younger self. Our bodies change, our needs change, yet they give the same advice like nothing's changed at all. And that's just wrong. So now I'm going to go over a few points that I felt were very important when I was doing my research. And I'm going to refer to my notes because I don't remember all of them and I don't even want to remember all of them. But anyhow, it says when you drink too much water, your kidneys can't get rid of the water and the sodium content in your blood becomes very diluted. Well, that makes sense. We have old kidneys now. We don't have 20-year-old kidneys. All seniors should not drink the same amount of water. We're built different. We have different body sizes. Some people are more active than others. Certain medications that you may take may require you to drink more water. There's so many different variables, so we're not all the same, and we can't be put in the same box. Some of the symptoms that you'll have if you're drinking too much water, it can cause headaches, confusion, drowsiness, fatigue, irritability, muscle cramps, weakness, pain, electrolyte imbalance. Ah, now that's quite a few problems, isn't it? And as I said, I'm sure dehydration can cause just as many problems. Might even be the same symptoms. I don't know. I've never had a dehydration problem. Before I move on and tell you what I'm doing to make sure I get enough water, but not too much water, let me just tell you that drinking too much water definitely dilutes your electrolytes. And as seniors, we need electrolytes. They say the way to tell if you're drinking too much water is if your urine is clear or almost clear. It should be the color of lemonade, so not a dark yellow, but certainly not a clear, the color of lemonade. If that's the color of your urine, then you're drinking the right amount of water for you. So I'm very glad and grateful that I did go see a nurse practitioner, that I had the ultrasound on my legs to check the veins and all that stuff, and that I agreed to let her do the blood test to get an electrolyte panel or some kind of panel, that tells all that about the imbalance or lack of sodium, electrolytes, and all that stuff. Because I would have never known. I would have just wondered, what the heck, is there something wrong with my shoes? I mean, why all of a sudden are my legs bothering me? Well, they don't anymore. This is after the fact me. I thought I had filmed a little clip for the video to tell you how much I was drinking, how much I'm drinking now, and what I'm drinking. But I must not have hit record. So this is the day after I filmed the video. I'm just going to throw this in there. So what I was drinking, of course, was Propel because of the electrolytes. These are 16-ounce bottles. And also this, B-A-I. This is coconut water. This flavor is Malachi coconut. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. These are 18 ounces. Now, I dump half into another bottle or half of this into another bottle and then fill it up with water. So actually, I'm drinking half water and half Propel because that just makes the water easier to go down. It's very flavorful and it still tastes great even when I cut it in half. There are a couple differences between these two. The Propel has electrolytes and it uses an artificial sweetener. The Bai has antioxidants in it and it uses a natural sugar, which is stevia. Also, the Bai contains 5% caffeine, I believe it is. It does have some caffeine in it. Now, I'm very sensitive to caffeine. I drink decaf coffee, but it doesn't have so much in here that it affects me. Didn't make me jittery and like I wanted to jump out of my skin. However, when I drank it before I went to bed, it kept me awake. I had a hard time going to sleep. So I only drink this early in the day. And the amount of caffeine in one 18-ounce bottle which this is 18 ounce, this is 16, but it's equivalent to about a half a cup of coffee. So, if you're not sensitive to caffeine, then you'll be fine with this. So, what I had done to increase my water and be able to hydrate was drink 4 of these a day. These are 16 ounces. That gave me 64 ounces, which, they tell everybody drink 64 ounces, and I shouldn't have listened to them. And then what I did when she said I'm drinking too much water for me, my body size, my activity level, and everything else, then I started drinking 1.5 of these and about half of one of these each day. Sometimes 2 of these and half of these. So now I'm drinking, I think it's 48 ounces instead of 64. And that seems to be working perfect for me. So you just have to know what's right for you and adjust things to make sure you're in balance, and you'll be just fine. But like I said, I was foolish. I thought it's so hot. I'm just gonna, you know, guzzle water all day. And I didn't guzzle, I take sips. But, when you do it all throughout the day and you're conscious of it, like remember, stay hydrated, then you just get another one and keep sipping on that all day. Big mistake. So when you go to the doctor, for any reason, be sure to ask a lot of questions. If they say do this or do that, drink more water, whatever they say, just ask, is that really right for my body and my age? Also, remember that drinking too much water can be just as bad for you as not drinking enough water. Muscle cramps could be a result of too much hydration, not dehydration. Some people get muscle cramps because they're dehydrated. So they're told drink, drink, drink. Well, you're going to have the same problem if you drink too much. And the last thing I'll say is trust yourself. You know your body better than anyone else. You know how you feel. Don't buy into what everybody tells you to do. When I listen to different videos or different experts and one is saying, don't eat carbs, no carbs, low carbs, whatever. And another one says, eat carbs, but don't eat this and don't eat that. Oh my gosh, who's making up all these rules and who the heck is going to follow them? I know I'm sure not. I take my life into my own hands and try to figure things out, research things, and trust me. I'm not going to trust somebody else that just spouts off the same advice to everybody, whether you're 20 or 90. No, I don't go for that. So that's my story. That's what happened. This is what I wanted to share. Again, please don't change anything or stop drinking the water that you drink. Only you can decide if you're drinking enough or too much. Since I had no clue that drinking too much would cause these leg cramps, how would I know? Plus, I didn't know I was drinking too much because all you hear is hydrate, hydrate, drink water, sip it all day long. Well, don't always follow all the rules. Well, now I'm going to leave you with an inside beauty tip. My inside beauty tip comes from Proverbs 4:7. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. Oh boy, wisdom is the foundation of every decision we make, of sorting things out and trusting ourselves to know what we need and what we don't need, what applies to us and what doesn't apply to us, and especially to know one size does not fit all. This season in life we're in calls for new wisdom, not recycled advice, not just throwing something out there that people are trusting you to guide them in making the right health decisions. And you're giving the same information to a 30-year-old that you are to an 80-year-old. I mean, what kind of advice is that? We don't need it. So if we have the wisdom, we can use our common sense. We can research and check into things. And again, common sense just tells us, why would somebody 25 be drinking 64 ounces of water and somebody 75? There's a big difference between those two ages. So rely on your wisdom. Trust, trust what you know. Trust that you know your body. Trust God to lead you in the right direction and put your faith there. I always pray and ask God, what should I do with this information? Does this sound right? I question everything. Even when she told me she wanted to do an ultrasound, I felt like, well, I know my veins are okay, but I mean, honestly, we don't know. We could have a blood clot. I could have had a blood clot and not known it. But I didn't just jump right in and say, okay, I did my research to find out, is this what I should be doing? Because I'm not going to let somebody just throw me out there into the facilities and medical establishments to get this test and that and this and that. It's all just a game and a bunch of money making robbers, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. So just do your own due diligence when it comes to your health. And if you have anything to say, if you have had an experience with overhydrating or underhydrating, please share it in the comments section. We old girls need all the help we can get, and I think we learn the most from each other, not the medical professionals, but from each other's own lived experiences. So please share. I thank you so much for being here. I truly do appreciate it. And until we meet again, this is the old girl signing out. See ya.